All right, we back once again. So I was going to do a video about what to look at this morning and maybe into the end of the week. If you guys like this kind of video, make sure to let me know. That way, I feel like I should do it every day or not. So just let me know. But the first thing we want to look at is just the premium breakdown for SPY. If you're a SPY trader, which is one of the easier instruments to trade if you know what you're looking for. So what we're seeing here is, and this is a method that I really like, is following these premium levels. You're looking at this 395 being the big level here, 395, 388, and so what I would be looking at is like a SPY 388 obviously would be a big resistance, and but what you're generally thinking here is since all the premium is above where we're at right now. If we take a look at SPY, we're sitting here at 382. So and this is the monthly low right now, last month's low right here. So basically they broke out of last month's low. Got everyone all bullish up here, and then basically just retraced it, retested it, and that happens to be a big negative GEX level, minus 380. And so, and yesterday's low. So when they do that, they basically bring it right back, close it right above, right on that level. And this is very, very common. We're still within this yellow box here, still is last week's range. So we're just right smack in the middle of that. So it's simply just a retracement. So you can't really get too bearish here thinking it's going to break lower, because all it is was just a retracement on that monthly low. So if we are bullish looking forward, this is extremely bullish as far as a technical setup, just because we just retraced it, sort of like a double bottom or something like that. So we're retracing the breakout. That's what I'm looking at as far as technical, and the way it's lining up as far as the gamma exposure levels, if you've learned about those yet, and then as far as just last month's low, which would be a huge level just in general. So looking at resistance here at 388, that makes sense. If we're looking at our premium level here, 388, 387, these levels are going to be big, and then 395 would be the breakout. 395 lines up with the positive GEX. So you can see where the premiums are lining up with the gamma levels. So let's take a look at the gamma levels here. So for today, there is a lot of gamma sitting here on this 380. So possible that this would be a magnet for today. This would be sort of your pivot level, at least for today. So what I'm talking about here is yeah, this is a retracement possibility. But if we lose this 380 during the day, it's likely to come down to this 375 and then come back to 380. So this 380 is going to be sort of like a pin level. So I sort of run these gamma exposure charts thinking like pin theory. So I'm always thinking they're just trying to pin the market at some point. Doesn't mean it can't just flush. I doubt it flushes though. So my guess is they're going to spend some time here hedging this 380 out today. But you're under the vol triggers. So what that means is that the market makers are going to tend to go with the flow instead of go against it. So if the market's selling, the dealers have to sell as well to go along with it. And what we would be looking at is bigger GEX levels growing down here. So we would keep an eye on this chart during the day. You're in a negative gamma environment, but it's not that bad. It's only minus 125 million of 1.3 billion. So this could easily flip. And that flip level would be around this like 385 level probably. But you don't see a huge gamma exposure here. So, basically watching this throughout the day, checking it every 15 minutes, we would want to see which levels are growing. Are they growing up here? If they're growing up here and shrinking here, that means the market is slowly becoming more gamma positive, and they're looking to at least test out upside levels. So that 388 would be a big one, and then at 395, probably not today, but you'd be looking at end of the week possible 395. If they can squeeze all this gamma out of here. So they got to hedge all this most of the time, either burn it or hedge it. And my guess is they'll probably try to hedge this 380. If it breaks, we'd watch for growing levels down here. Let's look at the next expiry. So this is tomorrow. Again, massive pin level possibilities here at 380. Not a lot of huge gamma levels outside of this expected range, but we're right at the vol trigger for tomorrow, and the vol trigger total and this total vol trigger is essentially for 98 days, 98 days to expiration. So 386 would be a huge level, basically going gamma positive for 98 days. But for right now, we're just sitting right here. So not hard to go gamma positive for tomorrow either. So the vol trigger 385 today, vol trigger tomorrow 382. And then expected range here, you can kind of see it. So it's expanded a little bit, but that 380, that's the big level you'd be watching. Going into, so this 630, this is going to be the end of quarter. So it makes a lot of sense to me that they would try to pin the market on the end of quarter, and then you'd probably see some kind of range expansion into Friday, which would be, first day of the new quarter. It'd probably be a lot of flows and stuff like that. So kind of aligning with essentially what I'm seeing is a bullish setup, would be the fact that you got a lot of gamma sitting here on this 390 for Friday, and so you would essentially be wanting to watch all three of these if you can, to see if these levels start growing up here and shrinking here. If these levels start to expand, then there would be a tendency for the market to try and break lower. So watching these throughout the day, it was really helpful because you can see the changes. Looking at the open interest going into basically going into let's see, so we got 630 open interest. Everything is green. All the open interest from yesterday to today. This actually isn't right, so I thought this was updated. So forget that. I'll have to go back and get new charts here in a minute. We'll see if we can get those. And then is this for today? Yeah, this is for today. You can see the dealer gamma exposure per point. You can see from what I've learned, I just started with trading with these guys, but Gamma Edge, this essentially is saying that there's not a lot of demand to the upside. There's tons of put demand. Now this happens in SPY a lot because everybody hedges with SPY, and so having this kind of skew essentially, it doesn't concern me that much. It does kind of concern me that there's not any call demand, but what this means is that calls are super cheap. So if they do end up, somehow market orchestrates some kind of squeeze, we would want to watch this line and see if this starts to really start going up here, because then that would suggest that calls are cheap, and then these guys are going to get, people that are buying all these puts are going to get squeezed with theta. So charm, theta, vana, whatever you want to call the Greeks. Here's a really cool chart, the daily chart superimposed with the gamma levels. So you can see this 380 level is just insane. And then you've got the different levels down here. So yeah, 370, that's what this level would be my next target if this 380 were to give anytime soon. But you can see on the daily that this is basically just a retest of that breakout. This breakout right here, kind of like a gap fill. So my guess is we'd probably tend to want to go back up again. It's also that little trend line right there if you were looking at it just kind of like in a basic technical chart. So you can see the gamma levels and everything kind of lining up with just your basic technical analysis. And this is the 1 minute chart from yesterday. You can see where we just we broke the 388 zero gex, went negative, and then it was just kind of a trend just to this massive 380. My guess is they had to come to 380 to hedge it out, just because there was just so much of it. So dealers were just not hedged for the 380, so they got to bring it there and get hedged for it. So hopefully you guys like this kind of thing. Basically, we're watching pre-market here, just kind of seeing how the market's reacting to ECB is talking, the central bank, Fed is talking today. So keeping an eye out what they're saying, that kind of stuff. See if they can, if they're going to try and break this lower. This basically this 380 is going to be your target here, which is basically that would be really bad for the market to be back under last month's low. And so I'd be looking for puts right around here. If they can break it lower, that's where I would be. So anyways, hopefully this helps you guys, and see you next time. Peace.